Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. Let's take a look here at Solana, see what's going on for this weekend here. Pretty straightforward, pulling back with Bitcoin, only a little bit more aggressive than Bitcoin. If you look at Bitcoin, it's actually not doing too bad. Really just kind of retracing as per usual in its little rectangle type of pattern here so far. So that's generally a positive sign in the overall sense. And honestly, with Solana, I'm not super concerned with it because these type of patterns typically break out to the upside in most cases anyways, based on how it's shaping up. In other words, you could even argue this is like a bull flag type of pattern. There's a lot of little things that you can kind of extract there. I don't trade on patterns specifically, but I can tell you that that's generally favorable. However, there's obviously not a lot of other great signs either. So we got to kind of be aware of that too and not just be blindly bullish or bearish, whatever the case. So let's take a look at the backend data, quickly get a snapshot, I guess you will, of what's going on in the backend data here. This could help us understand a little bit more. Looks like that lower level at 220 did get swept here. We were talking about that being a potential support level for us. We can presume now that 220 or 219, right in that range, it may be working as a resistance for us for the moment, okay? A lot of times when local support levels get hit or retested twice, for example, and the third time it breaks through, that's kind of like an inverted cup and handle, for example. You can kind of see that shape here. That's essentially considered to be a bearish sign, right? So again, taking a long into that doesn't make a ton of sense until we close back up over 220, right? So that's the kind of the concept. But good news is most of the liquidation here to the downside has been taken care of, and that's somewhere in the range of maybe probably loosely about 2 billion in liquidation there. If we take a look at open interest, we can see we're kind of getting closer to equilibrium, which is good. I like it when price action kind of starts balancing out when there's just as many longs as there are shorts. It's usually a positive sign to imply that you are starting to bottom out and there's less liquidation or liquidity, so to speak, to sweep and more support. Speaking of support, this is what I identified yesterday and told you about. That's important to recognize. 213, that's concurrent in a lot of ways with our golden pocket / lower fib levels here. I feel like 213 to 215 should be a solid support range based on the fact that a lot of people bought in at that level, and that usually can work as somewhat of a support. It's similar in ways to points of control. We can see here at 226, that was supposed to have worked as a support level but didn't, and essentially just the same concept. But as you see here, when the price broke below, it came back up to retest that level and continued lower. So with when you kind of look at that, you can kind of recognize that, hey, we got some resistance above us at 220, 226 now, but also again some support, this golden pocket 213, 215 range. Okay, so just a heads up on that. Again, it's a consolation, but nonetheless, it is what it is. Let's take a look here at the daily time frame. We're still over the 20-day SMA, or sorry, that's the 50-day. The 20-day seems to be an elusive area that we cannot seem to cross, but I'm sure with time we'll get there. But between now and then, we got to recognize that's generally bearish, but we do have a nice amount of support here. Some confluence at 213 to 215 with that 50-day SMA hanging out right there. So that's a good sign. Again, they're not necessarily support levels. The prices can absolutely wick down lower, but for the most part, being above that's a positive sign in the overall sense, implying we haven't truly broken bearish. But we do take a look at the daily here. We can recognize we're struggling to get over 50 in the RSI, and that kind of reflects that 230 resistance range that we discussed earlier, or 235, where we came up to that level, rejected out. I think we missed our take profit target on our Solana long by like 20 cents, and the price ended up pulling back. But we can see here, 50 on the RSI here, working as a resistance, kind of just implying that we're still moderately bearish on this coin. Okay, so Solana is absolutely riding the struggle bus. There's really no other way around it. We look at the 4-hour time frame, we're under every single moving average, generally construed as bearish. Same thing here as well with the RSI coming down. Once again, rejecting out 50 on the RSI on the 4-hour time frame. Stochastic pulling back down for the second time. That carries more weight than the first, which we're seeing so far. Keep in mind, folks, Solana isn't the only coin here doing this. And in fact, Solana technically is performing a lot better than most altcoins are right now. Majority of them are down 3 to 6%. We're only down roughly 3% here for Solana. So I'm not trying to sugarcoat it, but I am telling you that Solana hasn't, it's holding its range in the 200 to 220 really well, both previous and current. So until we lose 200, we can presume that range will not be broken. At this point, though, money flow index is low. All signs of, the price action performing poorly, as we can see. Instead of converging here on the MACD, which gave a lot of folks a false positive for longs, we're now diverging here pretty heavy. So again, these are all par for the course situations when Bitcoin dominance continues to increase. and the price of Bitcoin goes sideways and alts go down. This is just kind of par for the course. It's also a weekend too, so if you've watched me for any moment of time, you'll probably recognize and understand that trading weekends is not necessarily a good recommendation. So I would just relax and take it easy, not worry about it too much. I do feel like we're going to see some support here soon when the price action comes to this lower fib level. We saw some resistance there as well prior to, so I do think that 213 to 215 is a good solid area there. But if we take a look at the Ichimoku cloud, we're soundly below, lagging spans below the price action, conversion lines below the baseline. These are all signs here that really tell us that there's no real reason to take a long here. If you do end up taking a long, just make sure you watch it close. There's a chance it could recover, but there's a paradigm shift that does occur at some point. If you've ever watched the markets, you'll notice that altcoins all at once start slowly recovering at the same time. So truth is, that's not happening yet. But if and when that does happen, we'll start to see that retrace, that continuation here. But if we do look here, of course, with overextension, a lot of coins are reaching their overextended state, and it's really common for the prices to recover after this kind of overextension to the downside. So again, this is not ideal conditions to take a long whatsoever. But if you were to take a long in the 213 to 218 range, I wouldn't fault you for it as long as you watched it close, right? Again, just kind of different scenarios here, of course, but it really depends on how you play it. This being a weekend, it's just a high risk scenario, so just recognize that. But between now and Monday, I would recommend you take it easy and don't force any trades this weekend. It just doesn't make a ton of sense. So those are my 2 cents. I hope that makes sense to you. No pun intended there. And obviously, if you want to add some dollars and cents to your pocketbook there, check out Bitunix, folks. And the link down below for this $12,000 deposit bonus. They're awesome. Make sure you use my link, of course, so you qualify for that and future benefits. And if you want to see my playout chart, I'll post that on Twitter, Telegram, or Discord here shortly. You'll have access to that at any time. And I look forward to working with you. If you want to become a better trader, cryptocash.tech is the site, link down below. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good rest of your day. Take care.